What's that? Okay, so this is a tale of two tsunamis. One tsunami was deposited here, a tsunami layer, and another tsunami layer was deposited up here. And the story has about 4 or so major actors. One actor is the ocean, one actor is rainfall coming out of the sky, and then throw in some rocks and some sand. And the way they meet and merge together tells the story of these two tsunamis. So we start about 1000 AD with this deposit. This deposit was deposited by the waves on the ocean on the beach. So the beach was depositing sand and gravel and little pieces of shell here, rounding them nicely. So we geologists can tell that was deposited by the beach. Then after that, the beach withdrew. The beach became inactive. The sea went out a little ways. And from here to about here, all of these rocks came out of the mountains, out of the hills. There's sand in here, there's clay in here, there's silt. Lots of plants growing on here, dying. Over a few more hundred years, up to about here, the rainfall came down and cut into the sand to here, and plants began to grow on it. So we have the floor of the riverbed right here, and on that floor there are lots of plants growing. We don't know yet whether they were ferns, whether they were small trees or bushes, or whether they were some other kind of plant. But when they died, they produced this black organic material like the mulch you'd use in your garden. Very soon after that, there was a tsunami. There was a big earthquake. At that time, the sea withdrew hundreds of meters. It then came back in maybe several meters high, and it picked up boulders of coral as it came in off the reef. The coral boulders hit each other, bang, 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 broke each other up into a jillion little pieces, and those pieces were strewn up onto this riverbed. And you can see, in fact, here's a piece of coral that was thrown up. So we can actually take this sample, look at it geochemically, and we can tell, in fact, that it was alive about the time of that earthquake and that tsunami, about 1390 or so AD. So about the time of the very beginning of the Ming Dynasty. So this is the only rubble we have that actually comes from the sea. Everything else here and here all comes from the mountains. We resumed again to deposit material from the rivers, the rain falling, bringing material out of the mountains, material like this, rocks from volcanoes, rocks from old coral reefs up above. And they build up more and more and more and more. Here's a little layer, another little layer. And then here, about 60 years after this, another tsunami hit. And it also brought in broken up coral. And some of that coral is right here. Here's a little piece of it. And again, the surface looks very, very young, very, very pristine. And that, we think, happened about 1450 AD. So 2 tsunamis about 60 years apart in the early part of the Ming Dynasty. Now following the tsunami of 1450, the river began again to deposit its sand, more and more and more, over the next few centuries, up until about here. And about here, there were concerns among the Achenese that in fact the Portuguese wanted to take over all of their industry. So they built fortresses along the coast here, and those fortresses entailed building some roads. So one of the roads came right up above us here, cut into the side of the hill, and it loosened up a lot of rocks. So in subsequent decades, subsequent centuries, those rocks were carried by the rainfall down, and that's why you have a layer here that is particularly rich in rocks that come from the road cut. Okay? So we have a history then that goes all the way from about 1000 AD down here, all the way up through a tsunami of 1394, another tsunami of 1450, and then up to the modern period. So there's the tale of 2 tsunamis.
Let's start now with the